Hi, thank you for joining me again for the fourth layout for January for the Love of Homemade Kits. This is Chris, and today I am using up the remainder of my kit. These are the last two full sheets of paper that I had for the kit. So what I'm doing is taking the blue chevron and I'm cutting it to an 8.5 by 11 sheet. And then I'm going to go ahead and mat that, butting it up to the left-hand side. And then I will use the pink cardstock as my photo mat. I do have to cut the pictures down just a little bit because what I also want to use is this last piece of paper that has the floral, and it's just a little bit shorter than what the mat would be. It's not quite 8 inches, so I do have to cut this down a little bit so that it can all fit. What I'm also doing is taking the branding strip that was on the text pattern paper, and I'm just using that to make a border to kind of break up the busyness from the two pattern papers and kind of tone it down just a tad bit. Now there is a hole where the paper pad was for the border strip, but that's going to be covered up by my mat. So here I'm just going and trimming the photo mat down in the photos to make it so that they'll be the same size as that scrap of floral paper, and then I'm just going to go ahead and mat those. I do struggle a little bit trying to get it all straight, but I get it together and get it looking okay. And I'm just going to center this in the center of my layout. And here's where I'm trying to straighten everything out. I think my Fiskars cutter is getting a little worn. It's not quite doing the straight cuts anymore, so I may have to call Fiskars and have it checked out. So here's where I'm going to go ahead and use that little piece at the top and the bottom. And then what I decide to do is take the last pattern paper scrap that I have that has the palms and the maps and the ships, and I'm going to kind of patchwork them up the left-hand side. It looks okay. I think what I was doing was trying to force too much onto this layout so that I would use up the remainder of my kit. If I had it to do over again, I probably would have left this off, but it's done and it looks all right. It's not my favorite layout. I don't know how you are, but for me, once a layout's made, it's in the book. I don't remake layouts. So let me know in the comments below if you make a layout that's not your favorite. Do you just go with it and put it in the book and move on, or are you one that will redo a layout? I'm one that just puts it in the book. It doesn't look bad. Move on to the next. I have too many photos that need to be done. I'm not going to worry about one or two layouts that don't necessarily aren't my top 10 favorites. So again, here I'm putting these all these squares down, and I'm as like a patchwork, and I'm overlapping them and trying to make sure that none of the pattern paper that the blue chevron is showing from underneath. When I'm done with this, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and start building my embellishment clusters. So one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to get out one of my doilies, and it's going to be one of the beige doilies because I'm not necessarily thrilled with how busy this left-hand side looks. So I thought if I had the doily, it would kind of tone this all down a little bit and not make it look as busy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the doily in half, and I'm going to try it in two different places on the left-hand side, and then I'm not going to like that. And I'm actually going to go ahead and move that around a lot, just struggling with trying to find the perfect placement. In the end, what I'm going to end up doing is having it up at the top and just building a border cluster from there. So here's where I go ahead and I grab that beige or that craft color doily. And I didn't mind this here, but then what I wanted to do is use the pink paisley Paige Evans. I had one of those cut apart still, this one here, and I wanted to try and tuck it in, but it would have been too low. So then I tried it down in the lower corner. I didn't like that. And then I try it in the upper right-hand corner. I didn't like that. And so again, I end up settling it for the doily being in the upper left-hand corner. And I just work that in. So now I'm going to go through all my thickers and stickers and try and find something that will work. Those chipboard titles didn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and spell out my title, which is going to be aquarium. And this is the North Carolina aquarium on the Pine Knolls shores. And so that's what I'm going to spell out. And right here you can see that the thickers are kind of blending into the doily. So I'm actually going to move them down more to the right so they're on the pink and they stand out a little bit more. And I'll build the cluster ahead of it. So I take this pinked circle that was on the pier sticker sheet, and I'm going to put that in the corner and then put my flare badge on top of that. So I like that. Then I take the Paige Evans die cut and I cut the top part off, and I'm going to use that to start building the cluster. Now I take one of the Paige Evans flowers from the chipboard stickers, and I'm actually going to put that next to the anchor, and I'm just going to start building that cluster, and I'll tuck the frame behind. Now I'm happy with how that looks, and then I'm just going to build the title off from that. And you'll see that I'll spell out aquarium. And then with the October afternoon letter stickers, I'm going to spell out North Carolina and then the Pine Knolls shores. And what I found with those small tile stickers, that if you put them on a piece of scrap paper, it's easier to line them up, and then you can cut it as a full word, and it's easier to put down on your layout than if you were to stick them directly to it. So here you can see I've got them spelled out. The other thing is the one paper is glitter, and they wouldn't have stuck to the glitter, so this way they're all glued down. So now I'm going ahead and I'm building a cluster in the bottom, and again I'm using one of the elements from the pier label stickers, and then another flower from the Paige Evans collection, and I'm going to do that in both of the bottom corners. And I'm just going to build the clusters up with the flowers and the label stickers, and then here I'm going to grab that, it looks like a leaf or a vine, and that's going to make up my clusters. And then the last thing I'm going to do for these is I'm going to use my stickles, and I'm going to do a drop in each of the corners, kind of like Nuvo drops, but it's just with the stickles, and then they will actually, when they dry, they'll dry flatter. So at the end I'm going to have some close-ups for you to see, and you can see how the stickles will actually dry flatter. And in the description box there is going to be the link to all the others that are doing the For the Love of Homemade kits. Please check out all their videos. They're all putting out some great content. It's great ideas. And then be on the lookout. I will do a layout share at the end, by the end of the month, and then February will be starting a new one. So here's the close-ups. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked what you saw, please hit the like button, and I would love to have you as a subscriber if you're not already.